Welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. This is a show all about implanting hope in our hearts. I'm Bill Snyder, joined by my friend DeSantis. We're glad you're here for our uplifting conversation about faith and how it sustains our hearts through all the seasons of life. Thanks for walking with us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Sowing Hope. I am Bill Snyder. It's great to be with you. Thank you so very much for tuning in and being with us today. As always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Ann DeSantis. Ann, how are you? It's so great to see you.
Yes, it's good to be back on Sowing Hope, and we have an amazing returning guest, Leslea Wahl, and lots to talk about. So thanks, Bill. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Why don't you tell us a little bit about her before we bring her in?
Yes. Well, first of all, hello, Leslea. It's great to have you back again, and thank you so much. How are you?
Good. It's always so fun to be able to visit with you guys and chat. Yeah, everything's been going great.
I'm glad to hear that. I know you have a new grandbaby. That's one wonderful bit of news to share. I know we were talking about that just before we started. We both have our first grandchild. You have a new book called The Ultimate Blindside, which is the third book in your series.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read your beautiful bio, if I may.
Yes,
So Leslea Wahl is an award-winning Catholic author of adventure teen mysteries. Leslea not only writes for teens, but has also become a reviewer of Catholic and Christian teen fiction and is the co-founder of CatholicTeenBooks.com. Her journey to become an author came through a search for value-based fiction for her own children. She now strives to be an advocate for other families who are battling against society's secular messages through her writing and by offering book suggestions that reflect Christian values. I love that bio, and I love the work that you're doing. Again, that website for everyone is, excuse me for 1 second, CatholicTeenBooks.com. So I just invite everybody to check that out. And so let's start out with you. I mean, tell our audience a little bit about you. I know you've been a guest before, but we always get, new subscribers and new listeners.
Yeah. As the bio said, I was kind of got into writing years ago when my own kids were middle school age and trying to find decent books even back then that was really difficult to find fun adventures, but that had decent values and so forth. So I was searching and was having such trouble finding anything. And then the idea for my first book, The Perfect Blindside, popped into my mind and wrote it down. Took a while since I hadn't been a writer, to figure it all out, to learn to craft a story and so forth. And then a publisher picked it up eventually. And ever since then, I've just keep getting new ideas for stories, and it's just been really fun. And I've met so many people because, like I said, I started the Catholic teen books, but there's so many authors in that write Catholic fiction and Christian fiction too. I have a lot of friends in that area too. But it's amazing. I didn't even know there was this whole culture and this whole genre. And I've met so many people and so many friends through the years. And it's really deepened my faith too, just learning from other people and reading other people's books and growing. And I just hope that kids, mostly the stories are fun and they're adventurous mysteries, but I want them to also learn a little bit of faith and just know, the values are there and these are characters they can kind of look up to and so forth.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I might be right about this. I believe you are a convert, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yes. If you would, just tell us a little bit about that journey. That's so interesting as well, before we really dive into The Ultimate Blindside.
Yeah. I grew up Mennonite and met my husband who was Catholic, and I didn't convert right away because he didn't pressure me, and we thought we could maybe find a religion kind of in the middle, a church to go to that would kind of fit both of our needs. And pretty quickly he realized there wasn't anything, it needed the Catholic Church. And so I attended with him, but I hadn't converted yet, but just kind of grew to love the faith and learn more. And that it was the original, Church from Jesus, and just all the different things. And some of those things that I had heard that were not true, just all that. It was quite a journey. And then when we had kids, um, felt it was important, and I sent them to Catholic school. And it wasn't until my oldest son was doing First Communion that I realized, this is kind of crazy. Why haven't I become Catholic? And so that's when I went through RCIA, was what it was called back then. And but it was kind of a stumbling block because I felt like I was afraid I was giving up my past, this other my heritage a little bit. And the priest and the nun who was running it, were saying, "No, you're just growing, in your faith and so forth." And so it's just been a fun journey, an interesting journey, and I actually, in all my books, try to put a little bit of Catholicism is in it, because I do have a lot of readers that aren't Catholic, but so that they learn that some of the things they hear aren't true, like, oh, you worship Mary, and little things, or talk about what adoration means or something. So I try to put a little bit in there. And one of my favorite reviews came last year with a different book, and it kind of was like, well, it was a Catholic author, and I said, but I learned this and this, and I was like, oh wow, so somebody's actually, learning a little bit. So that's kind of what I try to do with my books as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bill, I didn't know if you had any feedback on that, because I know that it's just so interesting, isn't it?
Oh
For
yeah, absolutely. I think that your journey of faith, I'm sure, shapes your writing, you know, and it's great to hear, especially for young people, because there's this massive influx right now of young people, coming into the faith, coming into the Catholic Church to answer their questions. I think that that's so good, and I'd love to hear a little bit too. I mean, just about how you've developed the characters in this book, because it's the third series, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm sure you've taken them on their own spiritual journey,
Mhm.
as you're getting to this ultimate blindside here.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first book, The Perfect Blindside, it's about an Olympic snowboarder, 16-year-old, who is suddenly all this fame that has come to him because he was kind of out of the blue, strange circumstances, and he wins a silver medal. And his family moves him to a small Colorado mountain town to kind of get away from the fame and everything. And he meets a girl there. And so at the beginning of the series, he's kind of cocky and full of himself and so forth. And he meets Sophie, and who doesn't want anything to do with him, and kind of typical thing. And they have to uncover a mystery at the abandoned gold mine in town. And so he kind of grows in his faith, watching her a little bit in the first book. And then the second book is Extreme Blindside, and that's set at an extreme sporting event. So lots of fun action and stuff in that one. And they're, kind of still working through things, and he's growing a bit more. And this third one, a movie is being made about their adventures. And so and now in this one, have combined together to talk to different youth groups about dating and chaste living and so forth. And so it's kind of interesting it's been fun to go through his journey and deepening his faith, and hopefully, people appreciate that. And like I said, we've gone a little bit more into hers too. They're praying about decisions now and so forth, as they're now in senior year of high school. So they're thinking about their future in college. And so they're spending more time, in thoughtful reflection and prayer.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Great development, great character development.
Yeah, I agree. Tell us, if you would, how do you go about developing your characters? I mean, obviously, it's a thought process. Maybe you get ideas just from people that you know or experiences that you've had, but we'd love to hear.
Yeah. So in this series, it's been interesting because, like I said, the first book just came to me. I had this idea of this Olympic snowboarder, and so I didn't know too much, but yeah, over time you kind of figure out the character and the growth. But I just usually start a book with just, except for the first book, because that one kind of, like I said, all came together right away. But the other books I've written, this is my eighth one actually, I just get like one idea or a character in mind, and then I just start writing. I never like plan it out. And so kind of twists and turns along the way and kind of try to, as it goes, I'm like, oh, okay, this theme is coming out more and more and so forth. And sometimes it's not even a conscious decision at first. I think the Holy Spirit kind of leads me. So in this newest book, The Ultimate Blindside, I realized with his Jake's growth, he kind of needs to confront some issues he had in the past with some friends, some bad situations that happened. So forgiveness became a theme. And I realize all the different characters have that. And that's so important for all of us because we all have hurts in our background or something, or, feel slighted by somebody, a friend or something. And so it's important to have that aspect. So that was kind of funny because I didn't, like I said, plan on that at all, but it just kind of became obvious that was a path we needed to take. And then it was fun because it was able to bring back so many of the characters from the first book. So the readers who have read the first ones will probably enjoy seeing some of those characters come back.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And yeah, I was going to ask about that theme of forgiveness, and it's so relevant for today's society and culture, because there, as you mentioned, people just carry around all this baggage and hurt. I mean, it's a great Lenten book, I would assume, during to read during this Lenten season too, right? For
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I had pushed to get it out for when the Olympics were on. But yeah, it's a perfect season for that because there is so much to reflect on and your own background and your own path and how you're relating with people that it's good to take time to think about it. And for teens as well, of course.
yeah.
Awesome. I was going to ask you, I know that it's a book for teens pretty much, but what would you say that the general age frame would be for parents who might be watching and want to buy the series or buy the book,
Mm-hmm.
this particular book too?
Yeah, usually it's been about seventh grade and up. In fact, it's been in the first book's in the several dioceses, their schools, so that's been fun. But so yeah, so seventh and up, just because there's dating issues a little, nothing. I try to keep them all very clean and there's like a kiss or something, but nothing overly over the top or anything like that. But the themes and so forth, seventh grade and up is it. But I do have a lot of adult readers too that seem to enjoy it, which I enjoy a lot of teen books myself. So I don't know what that says quite about me, but
And your books are I know they're on paperback and Kindle. Have you ever considered or are any of your books on Audible or on audio as well?
actually not yet. But that is actually a process I'm working on right
Hmm.
now. I'm gathering some of the clips to send in. One of my other books was in the process, and then the publisher closed, and I had to find a new publisher, and so that process got stopped. But and then on this book, I was waiting till they all three were done, so that the narrators would be consistent and so forth. But yeah, that's the next project I'm working on, actually.
Very
Good. Well, I'll be in line for that. I'm a big, audible person. So yeah.
Yeah, and that is such a big thing, and I am too. A lot of my
Mm,
books I read for book club I actually listen to, and so I understand that. So yeah, that's a priority for this coming year.
awesome. Good to hear. Is there anything else about the book that you want to share with the audience about, maybe we're also coming upon like gift giving season too with different sacraments, right? I mean, I know we're beyond Christmas. Easter's around the corner too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had any thoughts about that, that anything that you want to share with parents.
Yeah, that is, I have had a lot of people purchase all my books, but different ones, but this one works really well too, especially for like a lot of people are going through confirmation.
Hmm.
Different dioceses have different ages, so some of them are younger, but some are still in the teenage. Or actually, there was a friend of mine has a friend whose daughter is converting, and so they got those books as kind of a gift for that. And so, yeah. And then always the summer reading is always a perfect time, so you can
Yes,
enjoy
absolutely. A
them
little
on
more
vacation. Yeah, one of the
laid back.
reviewers, he commented, he said, my books are I like a, oh, I think he said something about like an expert on vacation stories or something like that.
Mm.
But to me, they're not, because they all, there's one like set on a cruise ship and there's one on a Southwest road trip. But to me, this one is set in Colorado, but that's my home. So I didn't really think of it as a vacation spot, but that's how he read them.
I guess for some people it is, right?
Yeah,
For me, it
exactly.
would
So,
be.
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you, the theme of snowboarding, and obviously taking that all the way through, this series, is that a passion of yours? Is that a passion in your family? I mean, is that just something in your life that you just love?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of funny because I grew up skiing and my whole family skis. None of us are snowboarders, but I've just always loved the Olympics and been fascinated with the stories of the time and the dedication of these young people. And of course, the snowboarding tricks are just very fun and cool to watch. So I guess that's where it came from. But yeah, so I've had to do some research on some of the tricks and the training facilities and that. So that's been some fun to learn more about it. But yeah, that wasn't something in our background.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's very exciting. Wishing you the best with all of this. Now, will you be doing another book after this one in conjunction?
I don't know if I have any more stories. We'll just see if any more come to me from these characters. I'm
Hmm.
working right now on the second book in a different series, and that one's a family road trip. They in the first book that came out last summer, they're on a road trip through the Southwest, and they're actually searching for lost relics of the church. They're with their grandmother, and it's kind of a fun story. So I'm working on the second one of that. So that one's a little bit different because most of my other books there's like a little bit of sweet innocent romance, but this other series is more of family dynamics, the siblings and their relationships. So, which it's what I'm used to. My kids are grown now, but as they were teens and all through the years, it's been fun to watch their relationships and so forth. So that kind of inspires me in all the books I write.
Hmm. We'll have to keep that in mind for the future when that book is published, and maybe it's time to do
Yeah.
a podcast. So,
Okay.
yeah. Is there anything else that you would want to share with the audience about this book?
I don't know if there's anything else on this book that jumps out the moment, but I would like to mention, if it's all right. So you can find my books on Amazon, and you mentioned Catholic Teen Books, or I also have my own website, lesliewahl.com. But Catholic Teen Books, is going to mention to the audience, is such a fantastic resource. So there's 18 authors on there, and we all write for Catholic teens from very young, like actually there's some books probably like for third grade, which aren't really teens, but and then all the way through like college age, and so many different genres. So even though my books might not be the fit for somebody else, that site is a fantastic place. We have historic fiction, saint books, dystopian. And so it's just been, it's a great place. And we try to do a lot of giveaways, trying to get schools interested in it. But as we were, when my first books came out, I was trying to market them. And when you're on your own, it's okay. But we've been trying to work together because we can make a larger difference for people. And, like I said, some people love a mystery, others are like, that's not really for me. And so now we have a space where like anyone in the family can find books and grow with that. So that's a really special site. And it's been really fun to work with all those different authors. And we help each other too. Like we each like when we have a new story coming, we'll swap it and get people's opinions and thoughts on things. And so it's just been a good sounding board as a writer too.
Awesome. That's a great website, a great resource for people, for parents and grandparents too, right? We're grandparents here, Lesley, right? So
Yes,
we need those kind of resources for the grandkids.
exactly. Especially those older ones, because you don't know what to get them and all.
Yeah. And Bill, I didn't know Bill has young kids, right? His son Elvin is 5, and then he has another little boy, Diego, who's just what,
In
3.
the background as I'm talking.
So I didn't know, Bill, if you had a perspective too, because as you know, your kids obviously aren't quite there yet, but I'm sure that
You're always looking for good. You're always
looking for
looking
good
for good books and
resources.
good stories. Yes, I mean, so these sound like books that I'll be sharing with my sons as they get older. And I mean, you get into middle school. Elvin's just starting to read now. He's just starting to read, which is remarkable. At being almost 5, so it's pretty amazing, and he loves it. I mean, I think the imagination just goes so much more when you read. We can plug our kids into TV and all these electronic devices, but when you read, you're just, your mind can go in so many different ways. And so, kudos to you, Lesley, for pursuing your passion in this and doing character development over, a series of books and giving, families a place of wholesome, good entertainment, wholesome, good, fun stories that they can relate to and they can grow in faith with. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's cool. So thank you for all the work that you do.
Oh, great. Yeah, and I also on my also on Instagram I
Mhm.
post them, but review all kinds of books from like picture books through adult books for families, all faith-based, just because it's hard to find. You can do a search, but only, it's kind of tricky to find. And at least in my area, the Catholic bookstores are more, philosophical books or saints books. There's not really fiction, and so especially for this the age, there's picture books, but then you start getting into early readers all the way through teens, and there's not much of anything. And so that's kind of my passion, is to share the books I've come across with other people, because it is a tricky thing, and we just want people to learn about the faith, whether it's my book or somebody else's. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, amen, amen. Thank you. Did you have any final words before we would end?
Not really. I'm just so thankful for podcasts like this where we can spread the word, because like I said, it's a tricky thing to do, and it's just such a joy to be able to share the work with people, because it's sometimes you're in your little bubble and you feel like nobody's discovering things. So it's so nice to have outlets and other friends in the network to share it about it.
Absolutely. Well, anytime, Lesley. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you, Anne, as always, for all you do for Patchwork Art Ministry and everything. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. It's great.
Of course. Well, folks, until next time, from all of us here at Patchwork Art Ministry, may God bless you and your families.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sowing Hope on Patchwork Heart Radio. For more information about this podcast and our ministries, visit our websites, patchworkheart.org and DeSantis.com. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at PWH Ministry or Ann DeSantis 2.